All right, let's get started, everybody. Good afternoon and good morning. My name is Gina Spatafor, Trade Show Manager for NEC Display Solutions, and welcome to today's webinar where we are going to review dvLED. Before I hand it over to our presenters, I just want to run through a few things. All lines have been muted. And if you do have any questions, feel free to use the chat box, and we will get to them at the end. I will also open it up at the end for questions. Our presenters today are Adam Mustafa and Ken Silvestri, dvLED product specialists, part of our NEC Solutions Group. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Adam.
Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adam Mustafa, Direct View LED Specialist for the West Coast, along with Ken, my counterpart on the East Coast. We're going to go over some slides here, and I hope it's helpful. I'm going to start and go over the construction and how it works and what it consists of. Just like large format video walls, pretty similar to that. So you need an array. The difference is that this one we use 27-inch panels, our FA and FE series, as opposed to 46 and 55s for the large format. And we also use a controller, which in this case is NovaStar, very user-friendly. We're going to go over that in a minute. Shuttle PC, and also source, which could be a computer or a media player. And like you can see here, controller, which has a sending card, and that goes to your display via Ethernet. Very simple construction. And also, of course, mounting structure. And that can be wall mount, can be a floor stand, can be hanging as well. We're also going to go over that in a few minutes. What's the difference between the solutions? We all know projection gives you great detail, and it's easy to adjust the image without having to add monitors or add panels to it. And that's an easy way to do that. It's pretty bright, up to 4 lumens. The cost is low, which is great. And the issue is the ambient light, especially with outdoor applications. And it's possible lower contrast values are also a problem. With large format display, it's easy to move around. 4K can be achieved in small packages. With LED, to get to 4K, you have to go pretty big. And brightness is up to 2500 nits, nice and bright. Problem is bezels, right? I mean, that's where LED comes to play. You can go as big as you want with LED with no seams at all. And then also the size restrictions, so you're restricted to 46s or 55s. With LED, definitely our #1 selling point, no seams. You can go huge, you can go any size you want, and you just have to keep adding controllers to support that many extra pixels, which makes LED very special. Deeper black levels competes very, very well against ambient light, even for outdoor. Standard install, pretty simple to install. It takes us anywhere from a day to 4 days to install any size wall. So this can be fast and easy, and it's unlimited, the size. For brightness, up to 1200 nits for indoor and up to 6000 nits for outdoor. Of course, the issue is it's still pricey, but price is going down, which is good news. Factors you want to keep in mind: your environment, your ambient light. If it's smoky, or if the temperature is too high, or if it's humid, things you always want to keep in mind when you spec your wall. Of course, if it's an outdoor. Viewing distance, where is your viewer? Where is your most important viewer in the room? The further viewer as well. And who is the most important person in the room? Is it the CEO, and where they're sitting as well? Content, you want to keep in mind if it's still, if it's PowerPoint or video. With still images, you want to go with a lower pixel pitch, especially with text, to be able to read text. With videos, you can get away with 2.5 millimeter plus, and that won't be an issue. You want to keep in mind also if it's sensitive info like medical procedures or things that we would have a problem with if it would be a large pixel pitch. And also if seams would impact that. That's why you would want to go with LED. That's an example here. Your closest viewer is 5 foot away, and your furthest viewer is 30 foot away. Again, you know, this is where myself and Ken come to play, and we can help you out spec the pixel pitch.
Yeah, very, very good. I mean, yeah, just, you know, perfect example is in this situation, the end user at the beginning of the conversation said, well, our closest viewer is about 4 or 5 feet away. So you immediately start thinking about sub 1 millimeter, 1.2 millimeter. when you really get a drawing in the room, you realize those people that are closest to them have their backs to the screen. This is in a briefing center. So the first row of seats or first seat that's viewable, as you can see on the picture on the left, it's probably about 10 to 12 feet away. So keep in mind and get details just because they say we're the closest viewers isn't necessarily the right answer that you're looking for pixel pitch determination.
Case-to-case basis for sure. Boarding rooms, meeting rooms, auditoriums seem to be lower in pixel pitch. And if you're doing lobbies or things of that sort, pixel pitch can be higher. What's the right solution? You also want to keep in mind how far your rec room is. Is it below 300 feet where copper can be used, traditional copper, or if it's more than 300 feet, which is usually in airports. Usually your rec room in airports is far, very far. And usually we use fiber for those. Mounting, our standard kits do come with wall mount, but we can also work with a third party and provide hanging. I've seen that, very cool. We can do floor stand, freestand, curved, and 90-degree angles. You want to keep in mind that we do add a power bar to that, about 5-inch in the bottom row. We're going to go over that in a minute. And that's not required. It does come with our kits, but with custom, we can get around that if we can directly hardwire into the panels and avoid the power bar. But it's there for a reason. It's there for cable management, and it's good design. Works well with LED walls. Warranty, FA series, we're going to go over in a minute as well. 3 years warranty can be extended all the way to 10 years. And for our FE series, it's 2 years that can be extended to 5. Spare parts, 2%, and we keep extra 3% on hand for you as well. Sources, HDMI or otherwise, do you have a camera feed? What's your resolution? 4K. We got them in 4K, 1080p and 720p as well. And then if it's pixel to pixel, would we scale up or scale down? That's something that's also we have to keep in mind as well. How do we count the pixel pitch? I mean, there are many formulas. We've seen it all. We've seen people do it different ways. How we do it is we use our 1.5 millimeter. So for our 1.5 millimeter pixel pitch, you would want to multiply that by 2. That would give us 3 meters or 10 feet. So your viewer at 10 feet wouldn't see any pixels if they're looking at a 1.5 millimeter wall. For acceptable, it's 1-to-1. So if your viewer is 5 foot away, they will see pixels, but it will still be acceptable. Is that right, Ken? If you'd like to add anything to that?
That is correct. I just want to add into this, and thank you for that explanation here, Adam. Many times you'll see one manufacturer versus another manufacturer claim their viewing distance on the 1.5 millimeter could be 5 feet. And they may say, well, NEC claims 10 feet. Well, they're using acceptable versus optimal. There's no physical difference from a 1.5 millimeter to 1.5 millimeter manufacturer to manufacturer. It's a fixed mechanical difference. So they're just using one set of reference viewing versus another. So make sure if you do see something like that, you ask them really what's the sweet spot for not seeing pixels. But this formula here works. It's pretty close for what you need to do.
And of course, like we mentioned, still images, keep in mind that still images require lower pixel pitch, and text for sure. If you're running Excel sheets, you're going to need tighter pixel pitch. With videos, you can get away with larger pixel pitch. And like you're seeing here, the image to the right, to the left is optimum. You're not seeing pixels. And to the right, you can see pixels, but it's acceptable. Again, depends on many factors. One of them is being budget, for sure. And Ken is going to go over our portfolio.
Great, thanks, Adam. Yeah, I'm going to go over, this is the NEC portfolio here. The majority of this presentation is focused on the FA and FE series you see on the left. FA series is our flagship series. FE is more of an entry-level type of series on it. We have an A series poster. And our Q series, indoor and outdoor, which are both 500 by 500 millimeter tiles. We'll go into more detail about all these moving forward. So next slide. So the FA, FE series, from standing there seeing it on the showroom floor, looks the same. On the left side, you see the cabinet with no pixel cards on it, with hidden handles inside. These handles are made to, or put in place to support it, to install it, and they snap back in place. Also important to know that that is how you're going to receive your product, unpopulated. The pixel cards are shipped separately. This is to prevent any type of damage during the installation process. All of our modules are 16:9 aspect ratio. There's 8 magnetic pixel cards per module, which is a very small area to replace if you have damage on it. The metal pixel cards, do have metal backing on them. The housing is all metal. This serves 2 purposes. One, it serves as a heat sink, so the product generally runs a lot cooler than a lot of other manufacturers that do not use metal. As well as over the course of time, the metal will retain its shape and won't deform. ADA compliant. From the back of our standard mount to the front of the screen is 3.4 inches. And then all the wiring is internal within the tile itself and from tile to tile. So if the back of the screen is exposed, it's nice and clean. Next slide. FA series, these are pretty much the specifications on it. The FA, if you remember, is our flagship series. It's all front serviceable. So once it's up in a difficult area, it's easy to access. Pixel cards are hot swappable as well, so you do not need to power down the display to turn them off. We use multicolored diodes within our multicolored diodes bin 1 within our FA series. And why is this important? Multicolor you see is capitalized. That is the manufacturer. That's our supplier of the diodes. We don't hesitate to call out who we use. Many manufacturers just use a commercially specified type of LED. That's what they put in their documentation. Find out what it is, because there are great manufacturers in the world and there are poor manufacturers in the world. In addition to that, we use bin 1. Bin 1, for all of you that heard that bin 1, bin 2 binning, it's when LEDs are run, you can do about 40 HD size screens out of a bin. Within that bin, bin 1 means the smallest tolerances and deviation between pixel to pixel for color and uniformity. It is a way of ensuring that your LED screens looks the best. Now, a lot of LED manufacturers are going to claim bin 1 as well too. Remember, bin 1 is the top tier product within that multicolors portfolio and the top manufacturing specifications on it. Keep in mind that if you go back to the old days of automotive stuff, Yugo, if you remember Yugo, manufactured a top of the line Yugo, doesn't mean I'll buy it. So Yugo could claim bin 1 on their top of the line model. However, would you really buy it? So just because it says bin 1 LEDs doesn't necessarily mean it's still a good diode manufacturer. Continuing on, these are capable up to 3840 Hertz refresh rate, which is suitable for broadcast and gaming, no flicker. There's built-in redundancy, 2 power supplies and 2 receiving cards in each unit. We talked about 16:9 aspect ratio. We have some kitted bundles that Adam will be talking about in a little while. And we also have a alternative to this that has deeper black levels on it, which you'll see a picture of that in a moment. Next slide. Our FE series, as we mentioned previously, this is more of our entry-level product. Biggest differences on here, it uses a different LED for 2.5 and above, which is King Light, and this does not include redundancy. It is 1 power supply and 1 receiving card. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. Next slide. So side by side, you see the FA series specifications on the left, FE on the right. Again, we call it the bin 1 here. Here at the bottom, you'll see a 3-year warranty on the FA series, extendable out to 10 is an option. 2-year warranty extended out to 5 years as needed on the FE. Both have these 100,000 hour lifetime LEDs in it. This is also another important specification to consider, because why we use 100,000 hour LED? If the LED is going to be used, call it 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in a boardroom, even a 70,000 hour LED would get you beyond 30 years of use. So from cost of ownership over the long term, as you can see, LEDs is just definitely the way to go. 100,000 hours translates to roughly 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 11.4 years of use. Next slide. And it is upgradable. If you purchase 1 pixel pitch now, you can upgrade to a better pixel pitch later. It is not applicable on our 0.9 millimeter. But as an example, let's say a lobby in a large office building wants to put a screen up and they have the budget for 3.1 millimeter today. It's just called, say it's a big screen, say it's HD. And 2 years from now, they decide they want to put a 4K screen in place. All they have to do is replace the pixel cards with a tighter pixel pitch. No other infrastructure needs to be replaced on it. Next slide. I think this is to you.
Yeah, Thanks, Ken. So why NEC? What makes us different? I mean, a few things. One of them would be options. You know, we do have the redundant panels for some applications like PD, FD, command and control centers, and then FE is great as well, but for applications that don't require redundancy, and that would be a little bit less in cost as well. We want to make sure that we meet all budgets. Japanese quality standards, we do use Japanese power supplies, and that definitely make us stand out. I don't recall any other manufacturers that does use Japanese power supplies. LED, like Ken mentioned, bin 1 multicolor diodes, superb, one of the best in the industry, and that allows us also to use LEDs from a different batch. Like I mentioned, every project does come with 2% standard spare parts, and we keep extra 3%. That makes it 5% total. If the customer likes to order more down the line, they can do that without having to worry about using LEDs from a different batch, which is definitely a great factor as well. The modules are all 27-inch panels, and that let us hit our native resolution. So using 1.2 millimeter in 8x8 configuration would get us to 4K, while using 2.5 millimeter in 8x8 configuration would get us to full HD. So this particular size works very well with the pixel pitch size and gets us to 720p, 1080p, and 4K. Like Ken mentioned as well, pixel cards are hot swappable, and you can upgrade them to a higher pixel pitch when the budget allows. Control system, NovaStar, user-friendly. We train or our customers very user-friendly and easy to work with. Brightness, up to 1200 nits for indoor and up to 5000 nits for outdoor. Heat dissipation is huge. That's one of the biggest factors that make us stand out. You know, I've heard many times with the other guys that their displays do get very hot, which what happens is actually the display actually expands and contracts where the gaps start showing, and nobody wants to see gaps with LED. Our pixel cards and modules act as a heat sink, and it's also 50-50 heat dissipation. And if your display is on 24/7, very reasonable amount of heat that comes out of this wall. Installation, our unique method, very easy. Our panels sit together like Legos on top of each other, and that also minimizes the gaps. And it's all about gaps with LED. You don't want to see any gaps. Cable management, we use our power bar, and we get our cable and data through that power bar, and everything runs internally, so no messy cables on the back of the wall. Local support, which is also huge in Southern California and the Midwest, so your repair wouldn't take long at all, a round trip, very fast. ADA compliant 3.4 depth for the whole entire thing, including the mount. And calibration, we calibrate our walls so that your aging wall would match your new spare parts, and it will be nice and uniform throughout the display. Bundles, we have them in stock. We have them in 720p, 1080p, and 4K available, ready to go with very short lead time. And with all what's happening right now, this is definitely what will help. No long lead times with manufacturing and shipping. For installations, we do offer full installations where NEC takes care of the whole thing. Installation supervision, where we send one engineer, and then you would provide your team, and our engineer would supervise the installation. And also we offer our certification, so we would certify qualified partners, and that they can install their own with zero supervision. So they do the whole thing, but again, they have to be certified to be able to do that. Why multicolor LEDs? Very low failure rate. Caterpillar effect, which I'm going to go over in a minute. Very high color uniformity, and again, 98% of Rec 2020. That's makes multicolor very unique as well. High brightness, anti-glare, high contrast values, the wide viewing angle up to 170 degrees, and also the LEDs are protected against moisture, which is a big thing as well. That affects the display performance over the years. And again, you can use LEDs from a different batch, which is one of the biggest factors here. Humidity, multicolor over time, as you can tell here, as you can see it, nothing happens to it. And that definitely, with company A, B, C, that compromises the overall performance of the display and the color consistency. Multicolor ages very well, no problem with humidity, even for outdoor as well. Shrinkage, that's another issue that we see every day in the field. Upper row here, nice and flat. This is multicolor over time, doesn't degrade. The other guys in the lower row, what happens is the face causes a concave face forms, and that compromises the viewing angle. So you're not seeing the display at 160 or 170 or even 140 degrees. You got to keep moving to the middle to be able to actually get a good look at the display. So that compromises the viewing angle. Multicolor, great, that doesn't happen with it. Caterpillar effect happens when one of the connections of the LEDs goes out, and then that affects the whole entire row of LEDs, and that happens outside of the box. So comes like that from the factory. And that what happens with that is that it delays installations. We've seen it many times that you get good 10-15% of your panels with that caterpillar effect. With multicolor, never happens out of the box. It can happen with physical damage, like anything else can happen with physical damage, but not new out of the box. So this is another thing that multicolor have to offer. And Ken is going to go over a little bit of specs here for the FA series.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I appreciate that. And thanks for giving us the details of what makes the products so good. You can go past the slide. This is just a quick rundown of the specs for each of the products we have.
AFE, yeah.
You can go through this. This one we mentioned earlier, our Super Black. If you look at the picture on the right, you can see the standard LED offering. That's a single screen. The left side of that screen is the standard LED black level, and the right is the Super Black. Much deeper black levels on it. Phenomenal for broadcast and, again, gaming. If this is going into a boardroom where they're going to be using PowerPoint slides, the one on the left is more than adequate. However, this can be someplace where, let's say, Coca-Cola wants to throw up their advertising. The Coca-Cola red will be much more accurate than the one on the right than the one on the left. And the price differential is roughly about 5% right now is what we're looking at between the FA FE standard and the FA FE Super Black. Next slide. Our A-series posters is a relatively unique thing. It's a standalone poster. It is relatively easy to move. One person can do it. Much easier.
65 pounds, yeah, very light.
Yeah, it's we have 1.9 and 2.5 millimeter as is. It's plug and play. The controller is on the back of the screen, encased within the product itself. Within that controller, you can plug in a HDMI signal. You can send content to it wirelessly. It does have an onboard media player on it. You can access it via your laptop. It's a very easy way to manage stuff. And in today's post-COVID world, we're thinking this is a great way for entry positions within buildings, be it restaurants, malls, office buildings, hospitals, with the most up-to-date rules and regulations they have. And as those rules and regulations change, it's very easy to change the content on these screens. We have our Q series. This is, as I mentioned in the past, this is our standard square LED tile, 500 by 500 millimeters. We have an indoor and outdoor product on it. These are relatively bright as well. And if you go to the next slide too, these are indoor. These are outdoor. This is the outdoor versions, 2.8 through 4.8 right now that we have in the NEC's portfolio. Where would you use these? They can be used in, this is more like arenas, outdoor installations for sure, because there's an outdoor Q series on it. If you think about a store as Starbucks, where Starbucks has stores that are inside malls or inside hotels, and they also have stores that are facing the front street. Many times those stores facing the front street are extremely bright and they need an outdoor product, even though it's being used indoors. Where the Q series comes into play on that is both the indoor and the outdoor. For example, 2.8, it's the same resolution, same physical size. So if you have half the Starbucks stores having an indoor LED screen and the other half having an outdoor LED screen, it's the same size, same pixel pitch. Their marketing departments only have to create one piece of content for these screens, not multiple pieces of content. It saves them a lot of time and energy. I'm going to some additional dvLED offerings. The reason I say additional, NEC acquired a company, a German-based LED manufacturer, a couple years ago. These are some of their products. These are not NEC branded. However, it can be purchased directly through NEC on it. There's just a lot of other products here that we wanted to share with you quickly. This is our B series. It complies with the stricter Class B FCC regulations. If you think airports, their flight information boards, things along those lines, where there's a lot of radio traffic, these are much, much stricter on how they emit any type of interference. Next slide. You can skip over this one. This is our Slim series. It's a 320 by 320 millimeter module, rear axis only. You can see on the back, the picture of the backside of the module that gets bolted onto a custom frame. This is great for custom size applications. It's relatively small, being 320 by 320 millimeters. It's great for curved applications, both concave and convex. And what you see here are a couple products we have. There's also a 6.6 millimeter one as well too that could be used.
For outdoor, yeah. So outdoor is 4, 6.6, and 10 millimeter as well, and 2.8 and 4 for indoor.
Right. There's a wide range. So continue on. There's a T series, which is this is an indoor transparent one for mostly windows, or if someone wants to put an LED up and see the back, see through it towards their retail store. This is a great product for that. Next slide. All right, next. And this is the outdoor transparent product. If you think these hanging outside an arena with a lot of glass on the front of it, where at night it looks nice and bright and clean, but you can still see people see through it. Next slide. Before we get into this, before I turn it back over to Adam, I just want to say that the reason I showed you those slides, the reason why you know it, is if you don't see something in the NEC's portfolio online, or you're doing some research online, still don't hesitate to come to us and say, do you still have a solution for this? Because I can guarantee you 99% of the solutions, we will have something for it, even if it's not in our portfolio that you see necessarily online. And that's where Adam and I come into play.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ken. If your customer likes to upgrade, a lot of customers are upgrading these days from large format, traditional large format video walls to LED, direct view LED. And we do have those in stock, and that would exactly match some of the most popular configurations for the large format. So for example, if your customer currently have a 2x2 of 55s, that would be equivalent to our in-stock kitted bundles, which is offered in 1.9 millimeter, and that would be an HD 720p. And also it's offered using 1.2 millimeter, and that would be full HD, exactly same size, 110 inches. Customers that currently have 46 3x3 or 46s, that would be equivalent to our in-stock kitted bundles, 137 inch, 1.5 millimeter, and that's exactly full HD as well. For 3x3 or 55s, that's our 1.9 millimeter, 165 inch, full HD in stock, FA and FE. And for the largest one here would be the 4x4 55s, and that would be equivalent to our 220 inch, 2.5 millimeter full HD bundles available in FE and FA. Those are the kitted bundles in stock, but again, we can do any size for custom. But those are good to go, very short lead time. Again, it will take us, the earlier you get us involved, the faster we can spec and we can go ahead and move forward.
Thanks, Adam. And I just want to add in there before you get into what comes in the box, it's we will be coming out with a 0.9 millimeter one as well, which will be 3x3 full HD, 80, 45 inch, I think, diagonal.
And you can get to 4K by using 6x6 165 inch, which is pretty cool. What comes with it? One-stop shop, everything really. LED modules, the power bar, 2 controllers for the FA, control PC, the wall mount, the trim kit, spare parts, the whole 9 yards. You don't need to go anywhere else for anything else. For FE series, same exact thing, except one controller, since it's non-redundant, like we explained. The whole entire process takes roughly 6 weeks. Again, reach out to us, talk to us. We'll make sure we work with you, and we'll make sure we pick the right product. And again, the earlier the better we get involved. And what do you expect from us? Myself and Ken will jump on it immediately. and then we'll get BOMs, we'll get some detailed drawings, including power and data requirements, also wiring drawings, and then we will hand it off to our solution operations team, who's going to do the scheduling and site surveying and everything else.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then certification program, Ken, what is that all about?
Well, the certification program, as you mentioned on the front side, it is for our dealers, and you can go to the next slide on this too. And it's our partners to understand how to install our LED. I saw something today from a competitor who's offering online certification classes. Ours is in person in Downers Grove, right outside Chicago. I don't know how much I'll trust someone trying to install a $1 million project by just learning something online through basically YouTube videos, but it does exist. But we do teach you how to handle all the product, how to put it together, what it takes to manage wall, and then most importantly, the biggest is with troubleshooting and service. We spend a lot of time on how to service the wall. On the last day of class, the people who leave are during lunch. We instill mechanical faults in the wall, cascading faults, electronic faults, content faults. We mix it up every time. When you come back, it's your job to fix it. It's something you may or may not experience in the field. So it's you walk out and that's a very good. I apologize for the banging in the background. It's next slide.
Live TV, ladies and gentlemen.
We're doing it live. This is the installation process here. You see the vertical strip on there. That is the mount. That's the most critical part during the install, and the walls need to be as flat as possible. You get those screwed into place. We provide the jib, so you get correct measurements left to right on it. Then you see the installer installing the power bar there. This is an old version of the power bar. In this picture, the power is actually coming in underneath the bar. Now it ingresses from the back. Through this bar, power and data are distributed evenly. It does add, as Adam mentioned, about 4.5 inches onto the overall height of the display. However, we recommend using it whenever possible because it does go in there and provide you a solid first row, which is the most critical in an LED situation. As you can see, the technician is starting to install modules. On the picture on the left, you see him with his hand there. He's hand tightening this thumb screw. That is used to hold the measures together on the vertical seam. There's also 2 of those for the horizontal seam. So as you install the rows together, you're going to put those in hand tight. In this picture on the circle, in the red circle you see on the left, you see a diamond plate with some screws in it. Once the technician is done installing the second row, he'll go back and put the screws in, all 4 screws in. What you do is you tighten these screws down as tight as you can go. You go back to those thumb screws that you saw in the previous slide, tighten those down, and then come back and remove this plate. What that does is it gets your modules in very good Z-axis adjustment. If you still need minor adjustments, there are 4 screws behind every pixel card that allows continuation of that seam compensation. And on the right, you saw they just go up there, and as you build the wall up, you check its plumb line where you need it to be. Left, the technician is finishing installing all the modules. At this point, you stop. You install the trim, which must go on before the modules get into place. And you would energize the wall to make sure you have power. And at this point, what I generally do is send the wall 30 to 40% grayscale, sending to the wall, even though there's no pixel cards on it. So therefore, in the next picture, when you start putting pixel cards on it, as soon as you put it on, the pixel card should light up with your content. If it does not light up, at that point, you can stop and trace the problem very easily before populating the entire wall, and someplace in the center of the wall there's an issue. Now you're pulling a bunch of pixel cards back off and risk damaging them.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing, that those pixel cards are pre-programmed, and any pixel card can go anywhere on the wall, right? Only like a year or 2 ago, that particular pixel card had to go on that particular spot, which definitely makes things harder. Also, when you replace spares, you have to send files to it and program it. In this case, you know where it's going and it reads content right away. That's another big factor that we have here to offer. Some of the most recent installs, Palm Springs, California, car dealerships, we're seeing more and more of these guys going with LED. And this is in downtown San Diego, 2.5 millimeter, 20 foot by 17 foot. We used our FA redundant panels, 2.5 millimeter in the lobby. And again, with speaking of viewing distance, 2.5 for a lobby would be really, appropriate, right?
Yeah, stay in the picture for a second. Again, this is as you mentioned, the 2.5. It's definitely appropriate for a lobby. This is one of those scenarios where, again, if the user is just not thinking or not understanding your question, when you say, "Where's my closest viewer?" If you look at the picture on the left, you see 3 people standing behind a reception desk. They may give you that number. They may say those are the closest viewers without really thinking it through. If you ran with that number, you'd be trying to sell them a 1.5 millimeter wall, or maybe even a 1.2, versus someone standing much further away from the desk. So again, that's so critical than just asking who the closest viewers and really understand the use case.
Absolutely. Auditorium, Louisville, that's a 1.5 millimeter. Viewers were closer, and also they were displaying Excel sheets and sensitive info. So we had to go with a 1.5 millimeter for that. And outdoor, believe it or not, this is 6.2 millimeter. But again, we are so far back that you're not seeing pixels. So for outdoor applications, 6.2 in this case, very, very appropriate as well. And again, very nice and bright during the day. And we include a light sensor that dims at night, so it's not too bright, and brightens to accommodate the sunlight during the day. And for arenas, this is the Slim series here for arenas. So we're looking at 4 millimeter, 6 millimeter to 10 millimeter. And as you can see here, we can do the curve and the 90-degree angles as well. And most recent Edmonton Airport, this is our 220-inch, 2.5 millimeter FA kitted bundles. This is again in stock, good to go, with very short lead time. And thank you so much. Please reach out to us. Love to talk to you. And yeah, please, I'll take questions if you have. Gina?
Thank you, Adam and Ken. Are there any questions? I don't see any yet, but feel free to type in the chat or Q&A. Any questions you might have. I'll leave it open for a little bit. In the meantime, though, I do want to remind everybody that we do have a CTS course on Monday, May 4th, which is Understanding Today's Multi-Venue Projection Technology, and that is worth 1 RU credit. So feel free to sign up for that if you haven't. I don't see any questions. Do you guys see any that maybe I'm missing? I just want to make sure I'm not.
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah, our emails are here. Please, yeah, reach out anytime. I'll put it back up here, the emails and phone numbers.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time. Have a wonderful weekend, and we look forward to seeing you on another webinar. Stay safe and be well. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.